Welcome back, everyone. If you're an Islamic education student gearing up for an exam or putting together a project, you are exactly where you need to be. Today's explainer is going to be high energy and super focused. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating historical case studies in leadership and justice. Omar bin Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. We're going to break down his life, his absolute genius as an administrator, and the really profound lessons we can pull from his character. So let's get right into it.
Let me hit you with a question right off the bat. If you were a ruler, what would be your ultimate priority? Power or justice? Now, it's really easy to say justice from the sidelines, but when you literally hold the power of an entire empire in your hands, the temptation to just rule through pure authority is massive. Keep this in the back of your mind as we go through today's review. We're shifting from just passive listening to active critical thinking. How exactly did the second caliph balance these two incredibly heavy scales? Here's our game plan for today's explainer. First, background and early life. Second, key vocabulary and traits. Third, achievements as the second caliph. Fourth, the big debate, a strict or fair leader. And finally, applying the scamper strategy. All right, part 1, background and early life. So let's set the stage. Born around 584 CE, Omar bin Khattab belonged to the highly respected Quraysh tribe in Makkah. And even before Islam, he wasn't just another guy in the crowd. He was already famous for his immense physical strength, his really sharp intelligence, and just a remarkably strong personality. He worked in trade, which meant he traveled a lot, interacted with all kinds of diverse people, and built a massive reputation for wisdom and fairness way before his conversion. He was quite literally a force of nature from the very beginning. Grab your notebooks because you're going to want to memorize these dates for your exams. Let's walk through the milestones. Born in 584 CE in Makkah, a massive turning point happens in 616 CE when he accepts Islam, bringing this incredible surge of strength to the early Muslims. Fast forward to 622 CE, he makes the hijrah to Medina. Then comes the real pivot into leadership. 634 CE, following the passing of Abu Bakr, he becomes the second caliph. And finally, 644 CE, he is tragically martyred while leading the Fajr prayer. Lock these dates in, they give you the essential historical scaffolding for everything else we're about to cover.
Moving on to part 2, key vocabulary and traits.
Let's run through 3 essential Arabic terms you absolutely need to know. First up, shaja. This means bravery and courage. Omar was historically known for his total fearlessness. Next is Khalifa, meaning a leader or successor. As we just noted, he became the second Khalifa, shouldering the weight of an entire Islamic state. And finally, Irf, which translates to legacy, the enduring mark you leave behind. And Omar left an oeuvre of justice and public service that we are quite literally still studying today.
But honestly, if you only remember one single word from this entire review session, make it this one. Adl, justice. Absolute fairness towards everyone, completely regardless of their status, their wealth, or their background. The crucial takeaway here is that Adl wasn't just some political policy for Omar. It was the central anchor of his entire life, his governance, and his faith. He lived and breathed Adl. Next up, part 3, achievements as the second caliph. During his 10 years as caliph, the Islamic State saw this massive geographical expansion. We're talking lands stretching across Syria, Iraq, Egypt, Jerusalem, and Persia. But here's the most critical part for your historical analysis. A lot of these lands were opened peacefully. It's a concept known as futuhat. This wasn't just about military might. It was the spread of a system of governance that people often welcomed with open arms, all because of that very justice, that adl we just talked about.
And here is where his true genius really shines. Omar wasn't just a great commander, he was an unparalleled administrator. He established highly structured systems for taxation to guarantee fairness. He created comprehensive welfare systems to make sure the state was actually taking care of its most vulnerable people. He actively promoted education and massively improved public services. He built the kind of enduring civic infrastructure that allows a society to truly thrive. He didn't just conquer lands, he cared deeply for the people living in them.
Which brings us to part 4. Was he a strict or fair leader? Let's look at the facts. On one hand, his strictness is completely legendary. He had a zero-tolerance policy for corruption or injustice. He made absolutely sure that no one, and I mean not even the caliph himself, was above the law. That is some incredible strictness.
But then, on the other hand, you have to look at his mercy. He lived this incredibly simple, humble life and cared so deeply, on a profoundly personal level, for the poor and the weak in his society. So, how do we reconcile those two things? There's this amazing story that really captures the essence of who he was. When a dog suffered from thirst, Omar took off his shoe, filled it with water from a well, and gave it to the dog. Just picture that for a second. The ruler of a massive, expanding empire taking the time out of his day to personally draw water in his own shoe for a thirsty animal. This moving act is brilliant proof that true strictness in upholding the law can, and maybe even must, go hand in hand with uncompromising compassion.
So, I'm throwing the question back to you. Formulate your own thesis right now. Was he strict or was he fair? Or does true fairness actually require a certain degree of strictness? Which quality do you think is the absolute most important for a leader to have today? Jot down your thoughts on this, because this is exactly the kind of critical analysis your teachers are going to be looking for.
Finally, Part 5, Applying the Scamper Strategy. Just as a quick refresher for anyone who might need it, SCAMPR is an incredible intellectual framework. It stands for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and rearrange. We use this creative thinking strategy to generate brand new ideas by manipulating and analyzing existing concepts, or in our case today, historical events and character traits.
This framework is perfect for showing us how we can take historical traits and actively use them to tackle modern dilemmas. It's not just about memorizing facts from the past. It's about using the past as a practical toolkit for the present. Let's break down a few of these elements. Let's look at a couple of examples. Take the combine prompt. Omar was known for quick, decisive action. How would combining his strict leadership with an extra layer of deliberate patience make a modern leader even better? Or think about eliminate. If you want to develop the adl and shaja, the justice and bravery of Omar, what specific bad habits or distractions in your own life do you need to completely eliminate starting today? Now, how about put to another use? How could Umar's legendary sense of justice, his adl, help out in your school right now? Think about the cafeteria, the playground, those group projects, or how you treat classmates who might be feeling left out. If you applied his standard of absolute fairness to your everyday school environment, what would look different tomorrow morning?
Let's wrap up with a massive substitute question. If Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, lived in today's world, with all our crazy technology, our complex global challenges, social media, what specific qualities of his would he use to solve modern problems? How would his strictness against corruption look today? How would his mercy for the poor translate into modern welfare? I really want to challenge you to carry the adl of Umar out of this review session and straight into your modern lives. Good luck with your studying, keep asking those big, critical questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.